Tomorrow, the biggest sporting event in human history kicks off. 48 teams, 104 matches, 16 cities across 3 countries, 6 million tickets sold. And FIFA has a sustainability strategy. It's well written, it's structured, it covers human rights, environmental protection, supply chain requirements, host city plans. They've put real work into it. And it misses, by design, not by accident, 87.8% of the tournament's entire climate impact. I want to show you exactly how that happens because it's not a FIFA problem. It's a belief problem. And the same mechanism is running inside most of the organizations I work with. An independent carbon assessment published this week by Greenly estimates the 2026 World Cup will generate 7.77 million tons of CO2 equivalent. That's roughly double Qatar 2022. Now here's the number that really matters. Of that 7.77 million tons, 87.8% comes from just one source, spectator travel. 6 million people flying to a 3-country tournament spread across a continent that is not the geographic center of global football's fan base. Fans from India, it's a return journey of nearly 28,000 kilometers. From the UK, 15,000 kilometers. Average international spectator, 19,400 kilometers return. The Greenly report puts it better than I can. It says, spectator travel is not an externality. It is the reason the tournament exists. But FIFA strategy treats it as an externality. Now, I want to be precise here because this is not a greenwashing story. FIFA is not being cynical. The people who built the strategy are not cutting corners. The supply chain code is substantive. The human rights provisions are serious. The decision to use existing NFL stadiums rather than build new ones, that's a genuine environmental design decision, and it reduces infrastructure emissions from 24% of the Qatar total to just 3% here. They've clearly done work within the boundary that they've drawn. The problem is the boundary. FIFA strategy is organized around what's called the triple bottom line: social pillar, environmental pillar, economic pillar, governance pillar. You'll recognize this structure. Most large organizations use some version of it. But here's what you may not know. The man who coined the phrase triple bottom line, John Elkington, published a piece in the Harvard Business Review back in 2018 where he formally recalled his own concept. His argument was this: triple bottom line was supposed to be a radical challenge to how organizations think about value. Instead, it became an accounting tool, a way of filling columns. And once you're filling columns, the question you stop asking is, are these the right columns for the problem? And by the way, they're not. FIFA has 4 excellent columns. Spectator travel fits in none of them. Before I show you how the boundary works across FIFA's documents, one more thing needs naming. The numbers I'm working with are primarily carbon numbers, climate impact. That's where the evidence is clearest and most quantified. But the underlying structural mechanism I'm describing runs much wider than climate. Water consumption across 16 NFL stadiums in summer heat. Waste infrastructure across 3 countries with different systems. Labor conditions in the supply chains producing 6 million pieces of merchandise. Community pressure in 16 host cities where housing costs spike and local residents get priced out. Every one of those impacts is also determined primarily by the format decision, the decision that was made before any sustainability pillar was even written. Climate is where I can give you the number. The belief problem is not limited to the number I can give you here in this video today. Let me show you how the boundary works across FIFA's 3 main documents. At the organizational level, their strategic objectives, they commit to net zero by 2040 and a leading role in climate action. Genuine language, but no tournament-specific carbon budget. No definition of what the net zero commitment actually covers. At the supply chain level, the Sustainable Sourcing Code. They tell their suppliers to reduce emissions and, specifically, to avoid air travel wherever possible. FIFA is instructing its caterers and merchandise suppliers to avoid flying. The tournament requires 6 million people to fly across a continent. And at the tournament strategy level, the World Cup 26 Sustainability and Human Rights Strategy environmental implementation is delegated to 16 host cities, each producing their own plan. Now, FIFA sets requirements, but host cities implement. Spectator travel belongs to neither jurisdiction. It falls between them and disappears. 3 documents, 3 coherent frameworks, 1 shared boundary, drawn in the same place in each, just before the formal decision enters the room. The format decision, that's where this lives. Even before the first sustainability objective was written, someone decided 48 teams, 104 matches, 16 cities, 3 countries in North America. These decisions determine the majority of environmental outcomes. They were made as strategy, as commercial logic, as football politics. But by the time the sustainability function was engaged, the boundary was already drawn. This is what I call a step 0 failure. The operative belief, the belief that's actually doing the damage, is this: sustainability is a property of operations. Format decisions sit upstream of sustainability and are therefore outside it. That belief is never stated. It doesn't need to be. It's expressed in the structure of every document, in what gets addressed, and where the scope ends. Now, here's why this matters beyond football. The mechanism I've just described is not specific to FIFA. It's not specific to mega events. It is the standard operating procedure for how sustainability gets integrated into large organizations. The decisions that actually determine the majority of environmental outcomes are made before sustainability even enters the room. They're made as product design, as market strategy, as capital allocation. The sustainability function inherits those decisions and manages the operational consequences. What sits on the other side of your boundary, the decisions that were made before your sustainability strategy began, is almost certainly larger than what sits inside it. Now, I've written a full belief architecture diagnostic report on FIFA strategy. It covers the full argument, the source documents, the nested boundary structure, and the classification. And it's free. The link is in the description. Download it, and you'll also receive future reports in the series as they're published. If you want the diagnostic applied to your own organization, that conversation starts with a free exploratory call with me. Details at circularityedge.com. The World Cup starts tomorrow. FIFA strategy will perform well against every metric it has set itself. But the 7.77 million tons will accumulate regardless. That's the belief problem. That's what this practice at Circularity Edge exists to name and fix.